Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two. They got nothing but the genes, but they got different strokes it takes. Different strokes it takes. Different strokes to move the world.
Arnold, I think I owe you an apology. I guess I was just closing my eyes to something I didn't want to see.
Maybe we should all open our eyes a little wider, Mr. Langford. This has certainly been a revelation to me, Mrs. Reagan. I think it'd be a good idea to let all the parents know what's going on.
And not to mention the police if there are drugs being sold in my school.
I'm so proud of all of you. And I know you won't forget any of the things that we said here today.
Miss Reagan, can I please shake your hand?
Of course you may.
Let's say hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down, y'all.
Hunker down.
Hunker down. Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Okay, so here we are again. This is episode 18 of Hunker Downcast.
18 in life, you got it.
That's the one you were gonna pick.
That's your
18
pick?
in life, you know.
I should have put money on this with somebody because that's
Your
the one.
crime is time, and it's who can hit a high note here?
I don't know this song.
18 in life to go. How?
Wow, that was terrible.
Yeah. 18. Well, fuck, it's Sebastian Bach. He can't compete with that guy. He played Jesus Christ Superstar on Broadway and shit. Maybe not on Broadway.
No.
On Off-Broadway.
Off Broadway. Off Broadway. Like San Diego. Not far off Broadway.
Anyway.
Speaking of washed-up rock singers in off-Broadway shows, I saw Debbie Reynolds play Thinderella in a production in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
She played Cinderella?
Yes. And every
When?
time... this was in the 90s, I think. And every time she said her name, she had a horrific lisp. So every time she said Thinderella, she sounded like she said it as Thinderella.
Thinderella.
And I was like, Debbie, why?
Was this a touring production or was it just Debbie Reynolds in Grand Rapids with the community theater or whatever?
It was not community theater. I can only assume that theater in general in Grand Rapids has improved by leaps and bounds since that time.
I'm imagining a twisted remake of Cinderella called Thinderella, in which Thinderella has body image issues, is bulimic and anorexic, and the entire play is based around her struggles with it and wanting to look good for her sisters who body shame her.
Well, then I think Debbie Reynolds would be great in that lead role.
You can have that universe. I want 5%.
So she's trying to fit into the glass corset?
And an executive producer
Something.
credit.
And an executive. Thank you. I'll give you a percentage for advising me on that as
Thanks.
an advisor.
I'll take 5% up front and 1% on the back end. Thank you.
And I'm going to take you of my 5% or of total gross?
Total.
Shit. Well, then I need to ask for like 20%. Now this thing might not get made. Thanks for being greedy.
Yeah, it's my fault.
I'll write it. Fuck it.
Okay.
We don't need writers. We'll write it.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's
doing
do
that.
it.
That's an idea for a skit in a future episode.
Thinderella.
Anyway, I'm Alli. You're Varg.
Hi, Alli and Varg. I'm Jeff. We've been away for a couple of weeks, so I guess
I fucking did my job and sent in my stepping on, stepping out last week with the expectation that you guys were going to meet and record, and instead you went and got drunk.
Pretty much.
But you can get drunk and record the podcast, so why did you feel the need to get drunk and just not record the podcast?
Life was just overwhelming at that point. I think we just had to get out. So
I was having a really bad day, and then so we just went to the bar, and then we were at the bar, and things were seemingly fine, and then I got a text that said, "Hey, you should check on all your people in Dallas." And I was like, "Oh, what the hell is going on in Dallas?"
Oh, it was that night?
Yes.
Well, y'all could have had a very special episode, like when
Oh,
Arnold
God.
got molested on Different Strokes and shit.
Yeah, no.
Y'all missed out on that opportunity.
Like when Nancy Reagan went on, what was that?
Different Strokes
Strokes.
also. Different Strokes had a lot of very special episodes. Show got preachy near the end. And why wouldn't it? It was a show about a white man who comes and saves two little black boys and shows them what it's like to be a rich white guy.
I think we can all learn a little something from that.
So it's a modern day Les Miserables.
There was a lot of shows in the 80s that were like that.
Mm-hmm.
Webster was like that.
Yeah, I mean, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ended up being like that, sort of.
Yeah.
So,
but those were rich black folks that saved him. Which, it worked out for him, because that guy's dad was a real piece of shit in that show. There was a very special episode about that.
Was there?
Yeah.
Also, Carlton was the real hero of Fresh Prince. I believe that to my core.
I'm going to go back and rewatch them.
When I saw Carlton on Fresh Prince, it was like, I saw him and I went, oh, I thought that kid died doing a headstand and broke his neck, because he was in a Michael Jackson commercial, and in the 5th grade they told us, oh, the kid in the Michael Jackson commercial died doing a head spin. His neck is broken. I saw a video of him in the morgue. And I was like, oh. And then I believed that for many years until I saw Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's like the Pensacola version of Scared Straight? Is don't do breakdance moves?
Maybe.
Drugs are cool. Just
I never
no
thought of it
breakdancing.
as a vast white wing conspiracy, but maybe, they wanted us not to do breakdancing moves.
The devil's dance.
That's a good theory.
I was just curious.
I don't think it just happened in Pensacola. I think
Okay.
it was like Mikey ate Pop Rocks and Coke and from the Life commercial, and his stomach exploded. There was all kinds of shit like that back in the day. Urban legends.
How did we get so far off track already?
What do you have for us tonight, Jeff?
Oh, okay, because I was just about to ask what was the most horrifically untrue urban legend that you were told as a child.
Oh, well, please.
Probably that Alfonso Ribeiro broke his neck doing a... I mean, we're not talking about the hook hand guys, are we? Like the stuff that doesn't have to do with celebrities.
I guess so.
Yeah, it was definitely that one. I thought he was dead until I saw Carlton.
I was told that as a child by someone that I can't remember that black people were better at basketball because they had an extra muscle in their legs that made them good at jumping.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I was also told that, the peace sign, the one that looks like a bird foot in a circle,
Sure.
that was satanic because it was a upside down broken cross.
Well,
I've heard that one.
Satan hates war. I mean, we know this already.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
There was Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off of
Oh, yeah. Ozzy
a
Osbourne
bat,
and...
then I heard one that he threw a puppy into the crowd and said he would not play until the puppy was thrown back up on stage in pieces. Yeah. And then Rod Stewart guzzled a bunch of cum.
that may be true.
And then Richard Gere had a hamster in his ass.
That's not true.
What are you trying to say about Rod Stewart?
Well...
God damn.
Just...
Your Rod Stewart bias is showing, Jeff.
Is that right? It just seems plausible to me. I don't know why.
I don't think it would have to be a lot to have an upset.
Yeah, I guess so.
You don't guess so. You know.
Anyways,
What do we have?
How did we get so far off track?
We do
I
this
don't
every
know.
week.
Already.
There's always like a 10-minute. What the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we even talking about? Let's see. We started this with, we failed to hold up our end of the bargain this week or last week because after you had sent over your entire report, like Lance went ahead and recorded for us his own stepping on, stepping out report on all of his activities.
AKA so-so.
There was a review of the Chris Isaak concert. There was some other...
4th of July at the Dirty Boys.
4th of July at the Dirty Boys. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I still have that file, and I guess we'll just mix it in later and put it into the show.
I want to turn the 4th of July into a harass British people holiday. I don't think they've gotten enough harassment.
Okay.
So I think we should party at like British pubs and go in there and be like, yeah, fuckers. Or maybe have a big party at the battlefield down in Chalmette. Throw a big ass fucking party there and be like, yeah, we kicked their ass right, motherfucking yeah. Because they really deserve it. They've done shit for years. Conquering other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Going in there, calling it their own. Their flag still flies on other people's flags. That's some shit right there.
And now they're not even part of the EU anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean,
They still are, but they are going to not
they're trying,
be in the future.
Well, yeah, okay, I'm sorry I even said it that way. They may or may not be part of the EU anymore. They're trying, some of them are trying to get out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's kick them while they're confused. I think...
They deserve it, though.
Okay.
A wild Union Jack appears. You use confusion. It's super effective. It's a Pokemon joke.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe... I thought it was that or Dragon Ball Z.
Nope.
Oh, also, I want to add, if you guys don't hear a lot of beer cans cracking open this week, it's because we have... Tell us about it.
We have a mini keg this week. We're drinking from a mini keg.
Which is probably why we're getting to have such a slow start here, because it's hard for me to reach over and just go from the keg instead of cracking open a beer. I think it's throwing off my rhythm.
It's a little trickier, but it's a mini keg of Oberon from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan.
An ongoing theme here at the Hunger Downcast, where we spend a few moments on Oberon, Alli's favorite beer.
I don't know that's my favorite. Bell's is my favorite brewery.
But you're a homer for it. You like this beer because it comes from your home.
Yeah. It's a summery beer. It's a good summery beer.
And it's a beautiful keg. It has a painting on it. The Oberon sun is setting over the mountains, peeking wistfully away, perhaps into the night, it appears.
Actually, I think the sun there has been overserved a bit.
I think he's what's he staring at? He's staring off somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, he's reading the label, it looks like. He's like saying, wait, how much alcohol by volume? It's got more alcohol volume than Miller Lite, I think, which is why I might be a little wild.
Anyway, we're off track again.
Well, one of the reasons that we just went to the bar last week instead of trying to record was that the world fell apart last week.
Wait, the shootings happened before y'all recorded?
This was Thursday. After you sent over your thing, Alli and I were going to go record the rest of this show. And instead we said, hey, instead of making the show, let's just go to Finn's. And then
Dallas happened.
Right, the Dallas thing happened while we were there at the bar.
And then over the weekend, the Baton Rouge Police Department decided to become a complete military. And they were all dressed up like stormtroopers.
They showed that they were ready to sit down at the table and talk about unity and bring everybody together.
Yeah, it was really a show of peace and love for a community that was obviously hurting.
Sure. They seemed like they had the pulse of our suffering and
ready and willing to change, clearly.
Right. And what really sucks about all that is just like I know these cops are going to eventually not get indicted. And then when that happens, people who are pissed off about that are going to already know that they can't peacefully protest because look what happened the last time they peacefully protested. So then what do?
One of the things that terrified me the most was the fact that there was a lady near one of the protest sites and she invited everyone to come protest from her private property and come in and use her house and all that stuff. And the cops came into her house without a warrant and arrested people from inside her house. And this is terrifying. Back in college, when George Bush came to a high school near where I went to college, he was rolling out his I'm going to privatize Social Security plan. Mm-hmm. And I went to go protest that.
Thank you, because it didn't get privatized.
Yeah, it was all because of this one protest that we did. But we were told that we could stay in the free speech zone, which was about 1.5 miles from
right.
from where the president
Total
would be.
Bullshit.
And yeah, it was awful. And eventually we made our way on public sidewalks to a private front yard across the street from where the president would be leaving the high school and into the motorcade.
Okay.
Yeah. But unless that homeowner had invited us to be on their yard, we would have never seen anybody important. We would have been standing practically on the other side of town, and it was because that person brought us on the yard that we could actually see the president walk in and yell at him and stuff. And still we got guns pointed at us for doing that too. So I didn't go to Baton Rouge this weekend, but like the fact that the cops didn't respect at all the fact that this lady invited the protesters to be on her property, like that's crap. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Okay, so this was on Sunday.
Yeah.
And this is after a crowd had gathered on Saturday night on Airline and Goodwood out there on the what is this, northeast Baton Rouge, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops had spent that whole night telling people to stay off of the highway.
Right.
You can't be in the highway, otherwise we're going to arrest you. And I mean, they literally like tell them if you step in the street, we're going to arrest you. And there were
nothing is more sacred than a highway.
I know. And it's not just like you can't block it. People are making it out as, well, we need them to not block the traffic, because if they block the traffic, then there's some sacred violation of something there.
Not so sacred.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
if you live in New Orleans, you get your traffic blocked all the time for all kinds of fucked up shit. So,
right.
And it's like one of those. There's so many laws on the books, and so many of them are stuff that people do every day that the cops just let us do. But in certain situations, certain prejudices apply. They say suddenly we're going to enforce this law.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what was happening. Where if you had a police chief or someone in charge who had the foresight to just say, hey, look, bend the laws in a couple of these situations so this crowd can get their voice out, be heard, satiate themselves a little bit, so order can be attained.
It's like what New Orleans police do during Mardi Gras. Like, we know people are going to be acting a little nuts. We know there's going to be a crowd here. Let's manage it and
sort of like that, but
suppress it
in a macro sense, where I think that they probably should have allowed the entire crowd a lot of leeway as it relates to misdemeanors.
Right.
Like if you saw somebody like putting somebody else in danger, then in immediate danger, then maybe arrest them.
Right.
Or give them a warning or whatever.
Right.
Otherwise, stand back and don't antagonize or react. A road being blocked, oh well, no big deal.
In this case, they're doing exactly the opposite of that. They're saying if it looks like you're in the road, we're going to use that as a pretext to arrest you. And
or if we stand behind you so that you have to step into the road to avoid us like shoving you, then look, well, now you're in the road. Click.
And a lot of that is what happened on Sunday. Now, on Saturday night, they came in with this, don't block the road, we're going to arrest you if you're in the road. And a lot of the people that you saw getting arrested, I know when the video of DeRay that everybody watched getting arrested, he was filming people not walking in the street. He's like, look, we're not in the street. And then he gets tackled from behind even as that's going on. So, it's pretty obvious that they were using the street thing as a pretext to arrest people, even when they weren't even in the street.
I think this also points to a larger thing of like I've seen many versions of this particular listicle over the years of like, oh, look at this crazy law that's still on the books in blah 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 place.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't walk down the middle of the road with a funny hat on because, in 1892, Sheriff X, garbage man said, oh, well, I'm going to make this illegal, and it's still on the books today. Isn't this a fun anachronism? And, like, that is why you have to get this shit out of the code. Otherwise, the cops can actually use crap like that.
Well, shut my mouth. It's also illegal to put squirrels down your pants for the purposes of gambling. Boys, knock it off.
Yeah, then it becomes also based on the cops' prejudice. Like, whether it's a prejudice because they woke up in a bad mood that day, or it's a prejudice because they're a secret member of the Ku Klux Klan, or it's a prejudice because there's a protest going on against one of their own and that they want to shut down.
Baton Rouge also
it's
would
just
not...
based on their prejudice.
I believe they're currently being held in contempt by the Supreme Court of the United States of America for not removing their old sodomy laws. not
I think so. And
getting rid of those.
And I don't remember the exact details of this, but it's even like recently they were actually kind of trying to enforce the sodomy laws.
Yeah, they did a sting, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing? This law's been declared unconstitutional." But the Metro Council won't get rid of it. So the Baton Rouge Police Department was like, "Well, it's still there." People are crazy.
But that's what the Baton Rouge Police Department is like. Not only the sodomy laws, but there are other things where. Oh, I know what it was. Jarvis DeBerry wrote a column about this just the other day about the way they treated evacuees after Katrina, and he pointed to the mayor of Baton Rouge, still the mayor of Baton Rouge, Kip Holden.
Who?
Kip Holden.
Costumer Kip?
Yeah, well, this guy.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I know. You haven't really seen him this week, have you?
Who's that?
So Kip after Katrina.
You mean Cedric Richmond's congressional opponent, Kip Holden?
Right.
The one that sticks out to me was the story of the troopers from Michigan who were offered the privilege of beating down a prisoner as a reward for their help by the Baton Rouge Police Department.
Right. And
man, thank you boys for coming on down here and helping us. So, just as a token of our gratitude, why don't you beat your shit out of old boy over there? We got him all tied up for you, and there's a bow on his head. Just go in there and work him over.
It's like it literally makes me ill.
And we're supposed to feel safe when somebody like that pulls us over.
Right.
You know, you're not supposed to be suddenly scared out of your wits, or AKA acting suspicious.
Right.
Like, no, I'm going to be acting suspicious. I read the news.
Right. So, in the way Jarvis writes it up is the police were under order from Kip to, he'd heard about looting in New Orleans, which a lot of the, we don't want to relitigate the whole New Orleans post-Katrina thing, but he was determined not to have anything like that happen in Baton Rouge. Therefore, be a big hard ass on everybody, and that's where all this is coming from. So Kip has a history of.
They had a culture of that before Kip said the magic words.
No, that's true, but he's taken a lot of heat for it politically over the years. After the Sterling shooting, and as the protests started happening, they asked him if he was going to say anything, or why he's not even. I think he was in D.C. for part of the weekend anyway, and what he said was that, oh well, I don't even think they like me very much, so I'm not going to say anything.
Who? The citizens of Baton Rouge?
Yes.
Good
or the
grief.
protesters.
They elected that motherfucker.
He says, to Holden, it appears that many people are jockeying to assert themselves as the leader of the crowds who are demonstrating on Sterling's behalf, and perhaps the people demonstrating in Baton Rouge should rally behind one voice. But Holden does not believe he is the person for the job. He said he doesn't believe the demonstrators like him or will follow him. So he's already
he just ceded the whole.
Wow.
So this is before any of this shit goes down. So he's already I don't want any of this. I don't even want any part of this. I'll be over here.
What a leader.
Right. So that's. So then he disappears. And
I totally missed that. That's amazing.
I know that's before any of it happens.
Oh, Jesus.
And so everything that comes out over the weekend, police the way the police behaved, people are asking for the mayor to comment, and he's nowhere to be found.
So Carl Dabadie is the real mayor now,
apparently,
basically.
Or maybe John Bell Edwards is the mayor of Baton Rouge. It's hard.
Basically.
One of the funniest tweets this weekend was John Jedwards, which is one of our favorite parody accounts. It's hard being the mayor and the governor at the same time.
What they did and how they acted up there is going to come back to haunt them, because eventually this thing has been tabled for now, but eventually there's going to be some sort of closure to this thing where these guys get off. And
well, they haven't even decided if they're going to prosecute. You were talking about the shooters, right?
Right. There's going to be a decision at some point where they're going to be like, no, these guys are fine. They acted accordingly, or whatever. They're not going to see a.
They're already.
At least Hilar Moore recused himself.
Is that a recusal, or is it just a buck passing? What is that?
I don't know, but I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him.
No, of course not. So
at least there's that.
I mean, the good news is the feds are kind of investigating. But you're right. The district attorney in Baton Rouge recused himself, which is probably good because he has, relationships with several of the people on the police force. But
among others,
yeah. So the question is, who's going to step in and, handle the investigation if it's not, other than just the Justice Department? Because, there was some question whether or not the Attorney General was going to do anything about it, and he put out a statement saying that he doesn't really want to, I don't want to deal with it right now either.
Everyone's like, ooh, fuck, man, what do we...
Guys, I'm a little busy.
Yeah.
I got some things going on.
Well, it doesn't really matter what happens with the investigation or who heads it up. We know how it's going to end. Is that nothing's going to happen to these guys, right?
The odds are that probably nothing is going to happen to them.
So when that happens, and all the people who were at the protest over this weekend show up again to protest, and they already know they were met with riot gear the first time, then what's going to happen? All these people are already stirred. They already have memories of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pretty moderate guy myself, and I'm very pissed off about what I saw. What's going to happen then? So, I think Baton Rouge police made a huge mistake by showing up with their riot gear, expecting a riot, when basically people just wanted to be heard and listened to.
They created a riot.
They
were the only ones who were violent.
They showed up at the dance
on Sunday with their in full regalia.
Right.
And I think I wanted to take this back to where Alli started us by telling us a story about having been on private property at an Iraq war protest, and that was how you guys actually got closer to the event.
Uh-huh.
And the privatization of Social Security.
Right. This brings us back to Sunday. There's a protest near downtown Baton Rouge where the police get in formation behind their big military vehicle with the LRAD on it, and they're all dressed up like stormtroopers, and they just come marching down the street. And everybody needs to get out of the road in order to be in compliance or whatever. You can find video of the police coming up behind people on the sidewalk and saying, "No, you can't be here." And as soon as they get in the street, they would arrest them for being in the street.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that kind of complicity going
on.
Entrapment. But there's this one house that got a lot of attention because the person who lives there allowed a lot of the protesters to be on her lawn and on her porch because it's private property there, and they can't come and get you here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lo and behold, they came and got them there.
Right.
The police came onto this person's property and barged into the house.
I don't know the full story on that, but I'm assuming the police are going to say that somebody had done something and then tried to hide in the house, and then I think that means that they can go in and get them.
They said something very much like that. They didn't say somebody had done something. They just said, they had broken the law before they were on the private property.
Okay, and then they were trying to hide there.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they can extrajudicially do whatever the fuck they want.
Right. Well, somebody could sue somebody there. One of the things I've been wondering is, at what point does a police department or a city or anybody who has, like Ferguson, who has to deal with these situations, do they realize that it is just more of a pain in the ass, financially, one, because that seems to be a good way of striking home, but also just taxing, culturally, one of these incidents happening in their city.
Is it negative attention, or is it
costing a bunch of money, getting sued, having to hire lawyers, all the shit that follows a bad police shooting or a questionable police
Civil
shooting?
suits are really the only way to get them right now.
So, we're not going to be able to convince them that this shit is morally wrong. But at some point, I think it could be shown that, hey, the police killing somebody is not good for business. It's not good for any fucking thing. It's a huge pain in the ass. So maybe we can train our police department not to do this shit. Just concentrate on the money, I guess.
One of the ironies of the shooting in Dallas is that Dallas's police department has been out in the forefront of, training for de-escalation rather than stormtrooper shit. Everything that you read has said that about them. Yeah.
Dallas is a special case, though, and it doesn't really fit the mold because it really is just a crackpot.
A lone wolf attack.
Right.
Lone gunman.
Yeah, lone gunman in Dallas. Who would have thought?
If anything, Dallas is more of a gun control issue than or perhaps even a PTSD issue, depending on.
There's so many layers to Dallas.
The backlash to open carry has been really interesting to see, because you have law enforcement in Dallas now saying like it actually didn't really help very much.
Nope.
At all.
Nope. There was that one guy there was the one good guy with a gun walking around.
Right.
And the first thing he did was turn in his gun.
Yes, and he still got called a suspect and had his picture tweeted out and put all over the national news for hours and hours and hours.
So a lot of good that did.
Yeah.
So
the gun control. There's so many layers to the onion, man. Especially with the turn of events that happened in the last week have so many layers to them. With gun control, race, good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
Bad guy with a gun kills 5 good guys with the guns. No good guys with guns.
Have I told you guys my official policy position on all of this stuff? My official 100% serious policy position is that we should confiscate and ban all guns and fire every cop in America and start over. Just collect all the guns and throw them in a fire and melt down the metal and use it for something more productive, like
sculptures,
musical instruments. I don't care.
I think Australia bought back the
throne.
guns.
And then
we could try that.
And then
Can I
dismantle every police department in America and start over.
Sounds like America would be a fucking smoking mess at the end of that.
Vote for me.
Australia offered to buy back the guns.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll try that. What you think, presidential candidate Alli?
We've had buyback programs in various cities. I think you have to offer to buy back the gun, but then has to be the threat of, what if I keep this gun and it is now illegal? It has to be, the carrot has to be, oh, they'll give me a check if I turn in the gun, but the stick has to be, oh, because if I don't and I'm caught with it, then XYZ terrible thing will happen to me.
All of this just means that there needs to be enough political will to limit gun possession.
Yes.
In that it doesn't exist yet. Like that's the problem. What's that? I don't even.
Engineer Pat, who does not speak, although Ari does, handed us a note. This just in. It says,
what does it say?
Domestic violence ban and gun for court fees.
I don't know.
Does that trigger anything for you guys?
Does that mean anything to me?
I think it means ban gun ownership for anyone convicted of a domestic violence charge.
Down with that.
And
they're already banned.
It's already banned. Pat, come here. Explain.
Wait. Pat can't speak on the Hunker Down.
Yes, he can.
I can speak on like guns. There is already a constitutionally approved, and the Supreme Court held it up the other week, that it's a federal law. If you're convicted of a domestic violence offense, even at a misdemeanor level, you can be disqualified from owning your firearm, and those firearms can be taken away from you. The other one was if you want to get guns out of the hands of people, exchange them in lieu of all the court fines that we have, and that would probably get a lot of guns off the streets just naturally.
So pay your court fine in guns.
Yes.
Can I pay you in guns, please? Yeah, I like that. That's actually...
That sounds good. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because there were two things that we learned from Ferguson. This is, by the way, we're 2 years into this being a national issue, right? Which is like, Ferguson happened in 2014. And what we've learned since then is that shit happens everywhere, right? So there's been...
And has been happening.
And has been happening forever.
Before the cameras.
But now everybody has a camera, and it's just everybody can see it all the time. And that's what is making everybody nervous. And so when you're talking earlier about, how do we resolve it? How do we reform police? Whatever. They don't care. Like, it doesn't. This is the status quo is fine.
You make them care by saying, like, hey, a huge shit show is going to happen afterwards if you kill somebody when you really didn't have to. Right. Because while all this shit is legal, and
which is why it's
maybe, but it doesn't mean that a huge shit show isn't going to happen afterwards.
Right. Which is why expect a protest every time this
happens.
Expect
a protest.
Expect people to show up and say something about it, and
keep doing it.
And their response is, "We're going to get in a tank and roll you over," and that's just
right. But then, they might just use that as a reason to buy tanks,
right?
And then use tanks because they got the tanks sitting out there, and you're like, when are we going to use this fucking tank? So, here's a
right.
good...
It's boys with toys, and also maybe we could end that program that allows police departments all over the country to get lightly used military gear from the DoD.
So you just touched on the second half of it. So this is the two things we learned from Ferguson, or we were supposed to have learned from Ferguson, were one, a lot of cities and towns in this country are obscenely dependent upon municipal violations and fines and stuff for just a fun,
like Gretna.
Like Gretna, or like the public defender's office in New Orleans, for example. That they're dependent upon court fees and stuff in order to keep operating.
Although in places like St. Louis, it's in part because of a decades-long legacy of white flight that has led to way more municipalities than they could ever need.
Right.
Because each one has to have their own little fiefdom. You can see the same thing in Detroit and Milwaukee and Detroit, all those places like that.
Right. So
Cleveland, that's what I meant to say.
So that's what makes it especially acute, but it's also not an isolated problem. Like, it's just a thing that happens all over the country, where we've basically turned the mechanization of state into this kind of shakedown operation almost.
Yeah.
And
because otherwise they have no sustainable source of revenue.
Right. So
because the white people keep fleeing further and further out, away from the urban core.
And they keep raising money by pulling people over for bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole cycle is about. So that's one thing that we should have learned from it. And the other one is the over-militarization of police forces, which you were just talking about, where via the 1994 crime bill and via like some of the other defense authorizations and stuff that happened over the years, police were given the opportunity to purchase military surplus equipment. And that's why the Baton Rouge police have an LRAD, which is this siren that they can direct at people to get them out of the way.
Seemed to do not a whole lot of good.
Well,
people weren't really... I saw it go by and people sort of just standing there. I know it's pointed and everything.
Because it was designed to be used in a battlefield situation. Like, it is not anything that should ever be deployed on a civilian population
that's
in
paying
your
for
own
it.
town.
Like they pay for it, and then their own First Amendment rights are being suppressed by this thing that they bought.
And I mean, like, we don't even really have, like, battlefield situations anymore anyway, so I don't know why we're developing... The only reason we're actually developing weapons like that is for, weird urban warfare trap situations like this one, which is also concerning.
Yeah, it's
like I don't think we should be building weapons like that anyway, but even if we are, we should definitely not be them on the citizens of Baton Rouge.
It's a new military industrial complex, except it's being used
Except
on
it's
us.
the same old military... Yeah.
So it's shit that we don't even get to use on the battlefield, because mostly what we do on the battlefield is...
we just drone people.
Drone people or raid their houses at midnight. Or
so what do you do when you don't have a war overseas? You kind of create one at home. Oh my god, I'm getting super conspiracy theorist here.
Well, the point is... We shouldn't be allowing police to accumulate this type of weaponry.
No,
like,
they represent us. Their role is to protect us.
Right, or to enforce the laws here that are our laws that protect us, that maintain our public safety.
Yeah, but they enforce the laws part. Fuck, so many of those laws like sodomy and smoking weed and shit are total bullshit.
Yeah,
and they choose to prejudice. Using their prejudice, they enforce them, and it's come on. Obstructing the sidewalk and all these little violations. They just be like, hey, maybe I pull this guy over. Maybe I'm going to give him a break. He's a white guy. Maybe I'm going to fuck over this guy so I can get him into the system and that he never gets out of.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck that. That's not protecting society. You're not serving protecting society by doing that. You're not keeping people safe. You're a fucking goon.
There was an episode of Parks and Recreation where Leslie Knope went into the old Pawnee City Code and decided that she was going to remove every old terrible law from the Pawnee City Code. And when I think the punchline of the whole episode was, well, everybody actually kind of likes all these old shitty laws that are in the Pawnee City Code, so they left it alone. I think that's what happened. Somebody, Tim and him, look up the plot summary for that episode. Tell me that I was wrong.
I know the one you're talking about, because I think that's the one where they were throwing a guy into the lake.
In a lake,
right,
yeah.
Because the law said they had to... Oh, it was a guy named Ted, and they had to throw a guy named Ted into the lake every year. And
yeah.
people enjoyed it, so they kept doing it.
Yeah.
one of my many complaints about Parks and Rec in general is
many, like you have many of them.
I have many complaints about this show.
God damn it!
And it is
fuck you, Jeff.
No, but the lesson of every Parks and Rec episode is, well, everything is fine, and
it's a goddamn comedy sitcom.
I know.
It's not supposed to be.
But the underlying pathos of the, well, I guess everything's fine, is that it's actually not fine, but there's nothing they can do about it.
That's even worse. So that's the exact opposite of what the lesson that we want to learn from all of this is that, there are things that you can and should continue to do about it. Whereas
you get your ass kicked up in fucking Baton Rouge if you can and will do shit about it.
Well, that's the conflict, right? So, you go up...
Not really.
But we just said a few minutes ago that every time... The answer is every time there's a police killing, well, there's going to be a protest. We need to get out in the street and we need to say something about it and do something about it until they get embarrassed enough to do something. Or to change something.
I think it's just like sue the fuck out of them, make them jump through a bunch of hoops,
right?
Hit them in the pocketbook,
That's
make people not want to fucking visit there, associate their name with like Ferguson and Selma, and what was the place up in Louisiana? Jenna, and be like, oh, that's a fucked up place to go.
But
don't go there.
But it's everywhere. I mean, it's happening everywhere. So,
right, but sooner or later, the smarter townships and towns and cities will be like, we don't want no shit like that happening here. Let's train our cops not to only pop caps in people when you could absolutely positively have done nothing fucking different. So which in all these situations these cops get off because, hey, I had an opportunity to pop a cap in this dude, and I've always wanted to pop a cap in this dude. I'm sure that's not what they're thinking.
That is what they're thinking.
Some of them probably are. Because who knows who the fuck these people are hiring. But make it like a really last resort as it always should have been. Like, hey, do not kill a motherfucker or even beat the shit out of them unless it is the absolute positive last resort that you had to do. Now it's just like, he looked like he was going to kill me, so I shot his ass. All right, you're good to go. Fuck that. Stop that in any way. And since...
That's why I think there's way too much institutional rot in all of these departments. Like, you're never going to get to a point where they're going to say that.
So
that's why my official position is no, fire every cop and start over.
So that's a radical move right there. And what Lance is calling for is pressure to facilitate real change.
To not take a moral approach to this. Say like, hey, here's what needs to happen because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Make it. Here's what needs to happen, or you're gonna fucking go broke,
or
you're gonna have so many hardships in your life. It's just it's like what I posted on Twitter. Like, do it right the first time, so you don't have to come back and fix it later and rip out the wall.
So
here's the cop who shot Michael Brown in Ferguson got what, like $1 million from a crowdsourced fundraising campaign.
Right.
I mean, that's the part of the other problem is that if you fire these cops who do this shit, it's like the Indiana pizzeria that wouldn't serve the gay couple. They get money sent from every corner of the earth, and then all of a sudden they're richer than they were to begin with.
So here's the point about it. It's contentious. It's going to always be a fight. You can't just say, oh, well, we just need to impose the correct idea and then everybody will be happy. No, but that's not what's going on out there. So the response is you have to meet it with force, and you have to meet it with, like you said, legal challenges, but also public demonstrations. And my point is that
a huge pain in the ass, no matter how. Just throw as many monkey wrenches into the fucking system as you can.
Right. So here's where I'm getting at. Mitch Landrieu had an event this weekend where he went to the Superdome and had some ministers come and pray with him. And what he prayed for was unity. And the governor has made several comments this week where he has basically commended the police in Baton Rouge for their moderate approach to dealing with the protesters. And
John Bell said that?
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's bullshit.
And, it's disappointing.
Yeah, but it's Governor Sheriff John Bell, so we shouldn't really be that surprised.
Right.
He's just happy to be there.
But
that motherfucker's just happy to be there.
Well, he's trying to do it. He's trying to play both sides, and I guess the point of all this is that there aren't both sides. You can't just get up and say, "Can't everybody just get along?" And everybody goes, "Oh, okay, Governor, we're all." It did
happen that one time, but no, I see what you're saying.
So they're always looking for the little secret happy pill to take, and everybody will just go back and pretend like none of this ever happened.
Right.
And that's the problem with, and it's not even like, I mean, that's just naturally what executive politicians do, because they just want, oh, the shit's going down, I got to handle the situation and look like I'm leading.
I think that's what everyone wants.
And
if you listen to the cops in both those videos, if you listen to them in the moments following the time when they shoot the guy, both of them, all of them are like, really, you can hear it in their voice that they realize that that a shit show is about to follow, right? And in the time preceding that, they were probably full of fucking piss and vinegar, and then in the time after that, as the shit show begins to happen, then they retreat into their camp. But in the moments following it, you can hear in those cops that they're just like, fuck, I've created a shit show is about to follow me.
Yeah, I couldn't watch the videos. You watched them?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Well, what's interesting to me about the videos are the fact that the cameras drop out, or they, the
body cams fell off?
They fell off.
Well, in the Baton Rouge one, you can see them kind of swinging around and stuff. I don't know if they pulled them and put them down or whatever, but you can see them.
They fell out.
Moving around.
Then there's security footage from the convenience store.
That they go take.
Which they've gone and stolen, and they're being sued by the owner of the convenience store over that now.
Which is a great fucking idea, because now that's some other shit that they got to fucking, that Baton Rouge, the citizens of Baton Rouge now have to pay for to defend for that. Yeah, hit them and sue.
Right. I mean,
that woman who owns that house needs to sue the fuck out of them too. Everybody needs to sue the fuck out of Baton Rouge police.
Oh, so here's the thing about
you hear that, Louisiana trial lawyers? Get to it.
Just
lawyers, guns, and money, motherfuckers.
It's unfair. Because if you have the wherewithal and the time and the patience to go through this civil process of suing for money, well, then eventually get some measure of satisfaction, I guess, but not really justice, because these cops murdered this guy in the street. They put him on his back and they shot him in the chest. They're not ever going to have to pay for that through the criminal courts. They're not ever going to be held accountable.
Well, we don't think they will. There's still, of course, a chance that they will, and we hope that that's true, but it's unlikely.
Right. I don't think they will. The guy in Minnesota, he maybe could face some charges. There was a little girl in the back seat. There was a woman in the driver's seat. And I was arguing with some gun nuts on Facebook about this. I was like, can you just admit that the cop used terrible judgment? Like, maybe he was justified by the law, but if we get outside that, can you just admit that, hey, he fucked up royally?
Boy, even
and they wouldn't even do that.
Oh, I was going to say, because my super conservative relatives on Facebook were saying, what was that guy supposed to do? They tell you when you have a carry conceal permit that you have to disclose it to the cop if you're pulled over.
Right.
And so that's what he did, and they shot him anyway. So what the hell was he supposed to do? This is ridiculous.
Right.
And even my super conservative relatives could see that is insane.
So open carry has bitten 2 people this week. One of them was the guy in Dallas who was open carrying, did everything right, turned in his gun, but then was blasted all over CNN and was a suspect and was interrogated and really treated like shit.
Open carry, but concealed carry permits.
Okay, but then concealed carry also,
concealed carry with disclosure.
My point is that the gun owners did everything right.
Right.
And still paid the price. Both of them did. And one of them with his life. So it's fucked up.
And the third guy, who shouldn't have been having a gun, he still died because he had a gun. He had not had a gun, maybe he would have just been arrested. Maybe he would have... Who knows what would have happened to him. But this whole fucking shit show wouldn't have happened if that guy hadn't had his gun. Right? So if Alli's...
Which guy?
Sterling.
Oh.
So if Alli's theory of taking away all the guns comes to fruition, Sterling doesn't have a gun. He's not a threat. He probably doesn't die. So both these guys, the gun being there led to their eventual demises. Which has always been a bit of a theory of mine, whereas like once one of those fuckers is around, the chances of you dying as a result of it go up where when
Totally.
it's not around.
Absolutely. That's it. And this is, researchers are actually not allowed to do very much research on gun violence in America.
It's not a public health.
Right. But what we do know that your chances of dying from a gunshot wound are much higher if you have a gun in the home, because we don't think of suicides as part of that, but it's definitely part of that. Access to guns is a huge factor.
Easier to blow your head off right there in your house than to drive to a bridge and jump off.
Yes, and you're more likely to do it if you can do it easily and quickly and just like give into the impulse. There's also, I believe, women and children are much more likely to die of a gunshot wound if there's a gun in the home, because you're more likely to be.
They're getting pointed at them more.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that happened. I think since we were last recorded, was the House had that huge sit-in, which we've almost forgotten about in the last couple weeks. But the House of Representatives had the sit-in where Debbie Dingell was talking about having a gun pointed at her as a child by her abusive dad, and how like no one should ever have to experience that. And that was it's a pretty powerful thing to have to listen to.
Yeah, not a measurable statistic. Just something. It's not anything that can be studied or anything like that. It's just.
Well, they could. They've tried different ways. Physicians have tried to organize, in a sense, to ask about gun ownership in pediatric visits, and a lot of conservative parents have said, "Fuck no, you cannot ask me about gun ownership in my home. That is my business. I am a sovereign, blah, blah, blah." And
must have something to hide.
But doctors know that if you can ask parents about it at a visit like that, then you're more likely to be able to talk to them about like gun safety, because apparently that's a pediatrician's job now, is to talk to parents about gun safety. So that's just like the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life.
If the goal is health and saving their lives, then yeah, it might help to educate the kid on. Like,
it's just sad that it's come to this.
Yes. One thing, that arguing on Facebook has brought to light for me is that I've always wondered what would happen if black folks just started joining the NRA and walking around doing their open carry,
like the guy
in Dallas and everything. And
well, I mean, the Black Panthers were open carry. That was a huge plank of their platform.
Oh, I was of the opinion that should happen all the fucking time. That like, hey, let's see what happens when that starts happening commonplace. And what happened when I was arguing on Facebook was that everyone tried to, like the guy in Minnesota, Philando, they were like, he didn't act responsibly with his gun. He reached for his wallet after the cop knew he had a gun. AKA, black folks are too irresponsible to be be concealed carry.
Anytime you talk to gun people about anything, it's always something like that. It's like, oh well, such and such wasn't really properly using the gun, or
I wouldn't have done it.
You don't really know what you're talking about, because what you're calling the high-powered rifle is really not a high-powered, or some technical bullshit about whatever the giant cannon they use to shoot.
Those are the same people who would strap a GoPro on their brother and be like, "Hold my beer, watch this." I mean, there's the same fucking crowd of people. Yeah. Because if you're actually a responsible gun owner, or like a permitted gun owner, I feel like being responsible, by definition, like dictionary definition, must equal you realize this is absurd and terrible and awful and unjust. I mean, like, you can't...
Right. Killing a human is a bad idea,
right?
Okay, maybe you can have the gun.
Do.
Right.
That'd be a good question on the test. Killing a human. Good idea, bad idea.
Bad idea, James.
And that is what they said when I was arguing with them on Facebook. They're like, if you've never been pulled over by the police with a legal weapon in the car, Lance, then you can't comment on this situation.
You don't have standing?
And I was, it was a standing argument. I was like, it's not fucking rocket science here. I can grasp it. It's not something, And so then I said, well, if you've never had someone you know killed by the police, you can't comment on the situation.
Yeah.
Which I haven't, but thank God.
Right.
Right.
So we've almost filled up an hour with this. So I just want to wrap some stuff up real quick.
Speed hour?
Speed round?
No, I actually, just to wrap up this discussion, there's a couple of points. One is...
Jeff wants to talk for another hour.
All right.
It sounds like Jesus.
One is the...
We cannot talk about boring fucking city politics after this.
No,
I'm emotionally charged.
I want to wrap up this
off
conversation
of this Oberon Summer Ale.
So, one, the...
There's some sound effects for you guys.
One, break my glasses.
The private property house we discussed. There's an article about it on NOLA.com, and it's by Julia O'Donoghue, who's one of our favorite NOLA.com reporters. It explains this entire situation where the police encroached on this, private property, went after these protesters who thought they were safe, chased them into the house, pushed people around, and caused a lot of the damage to the property. According to the resident, the woman who actually invited the protesters onto the lawn, well, it turns out she's a tenant, and the landlord, who was not on the scene, is quoted in the paper later commenting on the damage to his property, is blaming the protesters entirely.
So it's written as though they didn't have permission to be on the property.
Well, if you read the article, I mean, they had permission from the tenant, and as far as they're concerned, as far as anybody there is concerned,
but the headline is they had no business being there.
Right. So the NOLA.com headline is Baton Rouge house is damaged during protest. Owner blames protesters.
Right.
So if
it dismisses that it was being rented.
Right.
At all.
And it doesn't even explain the fact that the owner wasn't even on the scene to make the assessment of what actually happened during the event.
And that's buried under 18 paragraphs.
Right. You get to that way late in the story. I recommend you read the story because it's very informative. There's a lot of information there. But the way...
So the too long, didn't read version of this is Julia is awesome. Julia's headline writer is bad.
Right, and I swear to God they do this on purpose because they know what...
For you, Jeff. They do it for you.
They know what sets off their audience and who's going to click on it and...
Mission accomplished.
X, Y, and Z. So there's that. The other thing is... Oh, we were talking a little bit about the cameras, whether or not they work or not. The body cameras that don't work versus the surveillance cameras that were the film that was stolen.
Right.
Even when it's all there and it's all in front of your face, for example, the state police who body slammed that guy on Bourbon Street a couple weeks ago.
Right. Mighty Mouse.
Even when you see the entire event, the police, like Mike Edmondson, will come on TV and go, "Oh, well, that was entirely appropriate." You guys don't know what you're looking at while you watch the film. We know what we're looking at while we watch the film because we're the law enforcement experts, and we know when it's appropriate to beat the shit out of a guy or shoot him in the chest or whatever the hell happened. And you don't know, and you'll never know.
You guys really don't know when it's good or bad, when it comes right down to it.
Will you make a promise to us? Will you tell us when it's good?
And I'm promising you right now that you don't know when it's good or bad. You really don't know. Because you don't know what we're trying to do. You guys don't look at the films. You don't know what happened. You really don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. And you never will. Okay? Just for your own information. Sometimes I can tell you it won't be good, and you'll see it won't be good. Sometimes you'll think it's good, and it isn't any good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was pretty darn good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was bad. But basically, you really don't know. The only people that really know are our coaches. And that goes with run blocking, pass defense, all those things. The media, public doesn't know. You guys don't know. Not really know.
And so the cops can gaslight you for watching their footage.
Right.
Yeah, and it goes back to same shit that was talked about earlier, where that guy, what he did was perfectly legal. He could have asked them to leave, made sure that they were down the street, and then walked away. But as was stated in the article, he was getting done with a 12-hour shift. On his way to his car, some fucking people was like, "Hey, officer, we got this fucking thing." And there's drunks everywhere. He's fucking sick of drunks by that time.
Yep.
So he's like, "Well, it's perfectly legal for me to take this dude to Suplex City." So that's what he did.
Yep.
And
take me down to the Suplex City where the grass is green.
And all
Nice.
good. All good. Like, we're appalled by it. It was clearly overdoing it, but also very legal. And this dude gets to make that decision. This relatively... there's no way of saying what this guy's training is, or...
Yeah.
You know,
But the only person
it looked a little like he could have just shoved the guy further down the road and said, "Don't come back."
The only person who knows for sure is the expert head of the state police who sees the video. The same shit that you see with your own eyes. You don't know, he knows. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Do not be dismayed
Yeah.
by the man
Right.
behind
Pay
the
no attention
curtain.
to the man behind the curtain.
Right. So
You do not know what you're seeing, little lady.
And the final thing that we didn't discuss, but I'd like to mention really quick, is this whole
Well,
issue.
I do
This
want to
is
say
called
that suplex was almost perfectly executed.
It was
I mean,
impressive.
He just
if it
was like,
wasn't-
"Whoa!"
Yeah.
If that would have been in a WWE ring, I would have been like, "Good job, good job."
Can
on
I
that
call this
suplex."
the footnotes from Jeff section? This is like the part of a David Foster Wallace novel where you get to the end and you're like, oh, fuck, there were like 15 footnotes that I didn't read. That's what this is.
It's just me trying to put a bow on it. You know?
Let's go put a bow on.
Put a bow on it.
So
You talk, and me and Alli will.
the last
We'll
one.
just
be
keep
the peanut
interrupting
gallery
you.
over here.
The last one was the whole question of outside agitators. So as one of the
Like those guys in Easy Rider.
like those guys in Easy Rider.
It's because of our antiquated systems, man. They can't let us know that they're there.
So the propaganda about the protests in general was that, well, you've got these people from outside of Baton Rouge who aren't part of the community, who don't really know what's going on, and they are encouraging the protesters to be violent or to do crazy things. And, you know, I guess that's why they went and arrested DeRay. That's why...
Former Rising Tide speaker.
Right. We should put his keynote in the show notes. We'll do that. But there was no point in the whole weekend where the protesters themselves incited any violence. And we
Nope.
said this before. It was all the
They
police.
didn't at all.
So...
Because we had friends who were there.
Right.
Mags, former Rising Tide organizer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another thing I'm getting at. A lot of the outside agitators were people from New Orleans who went up to go participate in the protests, go to support. I mean, it's Baton Rouge. It's 70 miles away. It's not that far.
Yeah, but to Baton Rouge, someone from New Orleans is the ultimate outside agitator.
That's
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's such
You
a...
could go hundreds of miles north.
They'd rather have somebody
Before
from
you ran
fucking
into
Minnesota
someone.
there than they would
Yeah.
rather have somebody from New Orleans.
But it's such a canard, though. And so...
yeah,
but
it's
we
bullshit,
have-
but like that's their mindset.
But because everybody from New Orleans went up there, and if you looked at this week's Yat Speak in the Gambit, like it was just all about this. It was lots of eyewitness accounts of what actually happened, and it was real time, social media like accounting of what was going on, and you get a real feel for it of people just on the ground and were just telling you what happened. And I can't see how that's like a bad thing. I mean, there wasn't anybody from here that we know of going up there to say, "Oh, I'm going to start some shit."
Did Jay Arena go?
Well, maybe. So, okay, that's why it's complicated a little bit, because there are assholes in every crowd, right?
Yeah.
But the crowd didn't create the problem. The police created the problem.
Police definitely created the problem.
They were ready. They showed up ready to dance.
Right. And if
showed up to
anything,
the dance with their dancing shoes on.
If any, on balance,
Their sound cannon.
And their sound can. It's just like I saw them trying to do a military style march.
Yeah.
And it looked fucking ridiculous. Like some of them were looking at each other like, "Am I supposed to turn this way?" Like, wait, and then obviously there was a guy in the front of it who used to be former military, and he was like, "Oh, I'm saying I'm on." And then the cops were like, "What the fuck are we supposed to be doing? Wait, I don't know." And I was just like, "This is you guys. You're gonna fuck this up."
and they did.
And they did.
Right.
And they will again. They are not ready for this. I would trust NOPD up there based on their Mardi Gras experience.
Right.
And that is a bold fucking statement.
Well,
I would trust NOPD up there before Baton Rouge.
I have no veracity on this, but I also read that Livingston and Ascension cops were joining the party with Baton Rouge.
Oh, Livingston.
Oh, good. Yeah, just
that's a tolerant community.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
put a bow on it, Jeff.
Put a bow on it. Just put a bow on it. Like outside help, like on balance, people from New Orleans going to bear witness. People from around the country coming to show everyone what's happening. I mean,
including that woman in that amazing photo from John Bach.
She was from New York, wasn't she? Yeah. So I mean, the whole thing is
my queen.
On balance, it's a benefit. It's us looking out for one another, like in general.
Yeah.
So
it's called solidarity.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's all I got with that. Do we have anything that we want to add to this whole discussion?
Do you have anything else on your list?
Take a break.
Yeah, I gotta pee.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a break and we'll come back with whatever is next year.
All right.
Boom.
Whoa, careful there, Annie Oakley.
I don't have to be careful. I got a gun.
Well, you'll probably want the accessory kit, holster.
Oh, yeah.
Bandolier.
Baby.
Silencer.
Mm-hmm.
Loudener. Speed cocker.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
And this is for shooting down police helicopters.
Oh, I don't need anything like that. Yet. Just give me my gun.
Sorry, the law requires a 5-day waiting period. We've got to run a background check.
5 days? But I'm mad now.
Yeah.
I'd kill you if I had my gun.
Yeah, well, you don't.
Okay, so
speed round.
Speed round, y'all.
All right, speed round coming up. First up in the speed round, I just want to mention really quick that the
you
city,
don't have to say. I just want to mention really quick. Just mention it really quick.
Okay, but the city budget hearings are going on right now.
Hell yeah!
And next time we come together to record, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of shit that the mayor has to say. These are really great events to go and see because they're like it's
no, they are not.
It's all
they're not really great events.
They're
it's
really
all
not.
circus.
Oh.
They don't
if
have.
You're
any,
Jeff. They are.
So if you want to go to the most pointless type of public meeting that you could possibly go to one of these instead of one where you can actually have your voice heard and like make a difference in something.
If you enjoy Parks and Rec and the idiotic,
but you do not. Yet you're still going to this. Why, Jeff?
It's funny as hell. You can go there and you can watch just person after person. If you have any gripe on your mind and you want to yell at the mayor about it, they give you a microphone and you can just say whatever the fuck.
Or if you want to go to a meeting where your voice can be heard and you can make a real difference, go to your NOPD non-PAC meeting.
Yeah, but nobody pays attention to those.
Right, but they should.
So, next item, Jeff.
All right. The next thing is David Duke was in the news today because he is possibly or has been pushed or has said or has been prompted to say that he may run for Congress this year against Steve Scalise in the Louisiana House.
Vote for the whip. It's important.
We were talking about this on Facebook with Jason Berry. It's vote for the blank, or actually blank for the blank. It's blank.
Yeah.
We don't know what those other words are going to be just yet.
You know what it is?
I think I just did it for you.
Wait, say it again?
Vote for the whip. It's important.
Two things. One, it's not going to happen at all.
Because David Duke is not going to run. He's like California. He's like LA for NFL teams.
Yeah, he's that. Whatever he can do to like get his name out there and make some money off of it somehow.
Though.
LA is happening.
Yeah, so
because one day David Duke is going to be elected to a public office.
No, he isn't.
How are you a fucking optimist all of a sudden?
Because David Duke is over. Like he's like
San Francisco and New York.
Yes. All he can do now is just throw his name out there whenever anything comes up that slightly mentions him or has anything to do with him.
Yeah, he's LA or Seattle
and
in the
make
NBA
whatever money he can
these
off
days.
of it.
We got Seattle over there, Milwaukee.
Do you remember a few years ago when they wanted to run a porn star against David Vitter?
Yeah, Stormy Daniels.
This is the same thing.
Which was also a Parks and Rec plot line.
It was. It totally was.
There was a porn star running against Gray Davis back in California back in the day too.
Right. So that's porn
ripped
stars
from the headlines.
I wish I knew her name. Fuck.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Timnum, tell us what the name was.
My point about this is that
along with Gary Coleman,
they wanted to run Stormy Daniels against Vitter because Vitter had a prostitute problem. They want to
prostate problem?
A prostitute problem.
Oh.
They want to run.
Probably got both when you think about it at his age.
Don't want to think about it. Thank you.
Steve Scalise has a David Duke problem because David Duke is in his past. He has spoken to a group that is associated with David Duke. Anyway, everybody knows the story.
The group associated with David Duke is the Ku Klux Klan? Because when you say that, that's what I think.
Actually, in this case, it was like a Jefferson Parish Neighborhood Association, which is basically the same
like
thing.
Same shit.
So, but
you guys.
But anyway, so the reason that this is happening at all is the same reason that Stormy Daniels was kind of going to be a candidate against David Vitter. They just want to. It's a stunt. Somebody wants to draw attention to the candidate's flaws. Duke is being floated as a candidate for this congressional seat. The deadline to qualify is July 22nd. I'll put any money on him not qualifying at all, but it's just going to be a story for a few
All right, next item, Jeff.
Next item. Okay, the mayor's cousin...
Allie's checking her watch.
The mayor's cousin, Kenneth. Do you guys know about the mayor's cousin, Kenneth?
Hey, have you heard about this guy?
Have you heard about this?
Hey, right,
What
you know
about
this guy.
Hey,
Kenneth Landry. You know about this?
This is the move we're in now. We're in this, just pulling shit out.
Hey, you know?
Do you know what this is?
No,
you guys
I
heard about
don't.
this?
I actually have not heard about this.
The mayor's
You
cousin...
said it before, and I was like, all right, whatever, Jeff. Let's talk about it.
Okay, Jeff.
All right.
Sometime
He wants to do
recently,
it.
the mayor's cousin, Kenneth...
Got arrested for DUI.
No.
Oh.
He was arrested... Well...
He did get arrested.
He attempted
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Kenneth Landrew was involved in a traffic incident last year in front of the Half Moon in the same place where Will Smith was shot.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
He pulled over a motorist who, I think either cut him off or
The cop did?
No, a different person cut him off, and Kenneth went into a road rage where he pulled the guy over and brandished a
How did
gun.
he pull him over?
He waved a badge at him.
What kind of badge?
What kind of badge? Well, it is a badge issued to him from Marlon Gusman, naming him an honorary deputy sheriff, giving him power to do exactly nothing. He and several other people who have, at times contributed to Gusman's re-election campaign or been close friends of his or whatever, they have received these, laminated credentials and little 6-pointed badges that you may find in a cereal box or whatever.
Cracker Jack box?
Yeah. They're giving this kind of
Holy shit, when did this happen? I've not heard anything.
This is
about
last year sometime. So this is...
okay.
I'll just read to you from the article real quick. It says, whether the honorary designation gave Landrew the power to chase down a driver, whip out a gun, and threaten a man with arrest will be for an Orleans Parish jury to decide in a trial slated to start Tuesday before Criminal District Court Judge Lori White.
So nobody was able to make this thing go away before it went to trial?
No. In fact, they're doubling down. Landrew's defense attorney is actually...
Kenny had every right.
Well, the defense is saying that he absolutely had some kind of power, even though Gusman has himself denied that this means anything.
Okay.
So he's got they're saying that he has real power. Other people who have been granted this.
Here we go. Yeah.
So among the others on the list, recent Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office records list Landrew among 49 people granted honorary special reserves status by Gusman, though it's unclear just what, if any, special powers it confers. Among others on the list are former New Orleans City Councilman Jay Batt.
Anybody but Bat.
That Jay Batt.
That Bat.
Singer Irma
Who
Thomas.
dat Bat?
Oh, damn. Don't fuck with Irma.
Jazz trumpeter Irvin Mayfield.
Oh, no.
And frequent political candidate and also the mayor's other cousin, Gary Landrew.
Gary Landrew.
Who is Kenneth Landrew's brother. So anyway, so this is the kind of this is the manpower we're dealing with on this special force.
It sounds like a crack team of crime fighters.
Yeah, no, my idea is
it's almost like a show.
Well, it's a movie.
Right.
It's the Fopo 5.
Something happens.
They're gonna there's a thing where Gusman commissions
Irma
them,
sings all her lines.
and they have like a secret hideout, like where they all go like on top of the Whole Foods and
Monkey Hill, maybe.
right? And Cedric Grant makes them like special like furnishings and
Who
equipment.
did he pull over? That's not revealed. Or?
It's in the story. If you want to go and read it, I'll put it in the show notes. But we're in the speed round now, so I'm not
sure.
gonna go through
Yeah, and the
details.
speed round's going long. What's the next item, Jeff?
Okay, so that's going on. What's the next item in the speed round? That actually is everything. Oh, no. The Saints they're like 15 days from Saints camp opening, and there was a story in a couple weeks ago where the producers of
The entire state of West Virginia is underwater right now?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
In fact, the Saints are going back to West Virginia. But damn it, the producers
I guess Peyton's patching things up with his girlfriend there.
Guess so.
The producers of the Sean Payton show are under investigation now for misuse of Hollywood South tax credits. So it's like the second time the Saints are involved in a Hollywood South scandal. So that's kind of exciting as we go into Saints football season.
I don't even know what the fucking Sean Payton show is all about.
It's about being too nice to Stanford, as usual.
This is going to be like a theme for you throughout football season, isn't it?
Goddamn right it is.
Fucking Stanford.
Football
fucking
season.
Stanford.
All over the fucking place.
Isn't football season like 40 days away or something?
In 15 days they report to camp.
Well,
and then when is fake football happening?
Shortly thereafter.
August.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited. Like I'm excited. First of all, I'm excited for us having a sports segment again on the show.
Oh God, I can't wait for sports to be back.
And I'm ready for the Saints. I'm oddly optimistic about the Saints season. I haven't really decided.
It seems like maybe we're going to surprise people.
We're going to have to do a preview show.
Yeah, I haven't decided how optimistic I am yet.
I think
we'll have to do a football preview show in general. I'll preview Notre Dame and LSU, and you can help me with the LSU part.
Let's just
you can do the Saints, and you can preview Florida.
No, I can't.
Let's just stop.
I don't know enough about it,
and wait till that happens and record that show because I want to.
Y'all could probably do a better job previewing Florida than I could.
Okay.
Well, we'll do it for you.
I just like to watch the games.
Jim McElwain looks like he has nutria teeth. There's my Florida preview.
One more item in the.
He's going to destroy some wetlands then, right here. Wait, where are we playing, y'all?
Also, he never wears socks.
I don't wear socks. It's a Florida thing. You
Florida
wouldn't understand.
Florida man.
I couldn't be prouder to be a Florida Gator.
What's next?
All right, so there's one more item in the speed round.
Jesus.
We mentioned Irvin Mayfield earlier. There is a fantastic article in this month's Anti-Gravity about the entire Irvin Mayfield and the New Orleans Public Library Foundation scandal situation by Holly Devon. And I think that even if you haven't heard anything about this whole investigation before, if you read this, you'll have all the information you need, and you'll have more, because this is the actual article that says explicitly, look, y'all, it's not just this guy, it's the entire situation where we have these like philanthropic non-profits like running everything in New Orleans on a public-private partnership business that puts them into this nebulous, like, who has real oversight or control of the money. And
nobody wants to come after them because they're doing so many good deeds and they're such good people.
Yeah, everybody loves them, So I think that this article really gets to the point of it, and I'll put it in the show notes. But I really think everybody should read this one article if you've read nothing else about it.
It makes me think of a comic book that in the universe you can have this about a superhero who's really a huge asshole, but the entire city believes that he's a superhero. DC, get in touch with us. Do you want any part of that? We'll get together, Alli, and talk about it.
Okay.
I want 5% executive producer credit on anything from this point on about a superhero who's really duping everybody and is a supervillain.
I want creative consult and 2% on the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right.
Man, we got work to do.
We're just doing deals. We just
Fuck
do
off,
big
Jeff.
deals.
We're not going to do this Hunker Downcast thing anymore.
Congratulations, guys.
Media moguls over here.
Try and find somebody better than us.
I wish you the best. Congratulations.
Why don't you
Hollywood South.
Yep.
Talk to TK Wharton or somebody about replacing us because we're out.
We'll do that.
I just dropped the mic.
So that's the end of the speed
And then
round.
picked it back up again.
I know, that never happens. That's the end of the speed round. Bye.
So, all right. Okay, so we're finally back, and we're gonna launch right into So-So.
Stepping on, stepping out.
Right.
Stepping on, stepping out.
We should come up with a jingle for this segment. That would be good.
It's one step at a time, man. One step at a time.
One stepping at a time?
One stepping out at a time.
I'm gonna get a beer here, but like we're leading into this with Alli this week, so I'm just gonna let you talk.
Okay.
What do you got?
So, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I went to July 4th weekend. I went to the mall on Saturday to purchase an article of clothing that I wanted to buy.
You went to the mall. I like where this is.
I went to the mall.
Which mall?
Lakeside Mall. And I made my purchase, and I was there, and I was about to head up to the North Shore to visit friends. Before I left, I saw it. I said, I'm going to get some chicken before I go.
Uh-huh.
So I got some food, and I
Cane's?
Yes, it was Cane's. And I sat down, and
You're being very vague about the article of clothing. I'm going to get some chicken.
Okay, I bought jean shorts.
Who buys... Oh, go ahead. Who buys those, though?
Jorts.
I don't... All the
Are,
jeans...
you look down, like, are those the ones?
Yes!
Okay. Because it looks like you could just go to a thrift store and buy those and then roll them up.
Well, congratulations. I didn't go to a thrift store.
Alli went to the mall and bought some jean shorts.
I bought some
How much
jean
did you
shorts.
spend on those jean shorts?
I got lunch, I sat down with my food, and I checked Twitter, as I do, because I needed to know if that one dude knocked off Djokovic in the Wimbledon quarterfinals.
In the Wimbledons.
In the Wimbledons.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there, reading Twitter, eating my food, when a crusty old white man walks up to me all of a sudden and says, "Young lady, put that thing down and finish your lunch."
At the Lakeside Mall.
At the mall.
There are not social media, but they're like phone police, I guess.
I was aghast. I looked at him like...
Worst person in the world, crusty old man.
I looked
to
at
say
him
that
like...
shit to.
Like, what the... I couldn't even think of I couldn't formulate a response. I looked at him just open mouth and like... But like I couldn't think of anything.
Still can't.
Because there's a stranger coming up to you saying...
And he said, okay then, and walks away. And...
That's an ass whooping right there.
And so I'm just sitting there like, I'm steamed. I'm really mad. And I'm thinking about all the different responses I could have come up with. Like, you walk away. And
it happens later.
And you're like, what really clever thing could I have said? And I look over and I see him ordering his food and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, And I go back to Twitter because I'm like...
Oh, so you didn't say anything to him?
I didn't say anything. He walked away. He walked away.
So you didn't do anything?
What kind of food was he ordering?
I don't remember.
Oh, shit.
It was unhealthy because it was mall food.
It was at the food court.
Could have been like, hey, do you think it's okay at your age to be eating something like that? Don't you have friends and family?
That would have required getting up and following him, and I didn't do that. I was like, this is over, whatever. That guy's weird, okay. I'm back to Twitter, I'm reading my stuff, I'm eating my food, when all of a sudden, he's back. Back for round 2.
And this is not like, you're by yourself. Like, you're just by yourself.
I'm just by
Chick-fil-A
myself,
or whatever, or
eating my lunch.
and your cell phone.
Canes. It was Canes.
Canes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just by myself, eating my food with my phone.
Okay.
Totally by myself.
There's no reason for you to like be expected to be performing or
no.
Okay.
And he comes up to me again, and all of a sudden he just appears like out of nowhere, and says to me,
"Damn," and
says, "Well, I think it's just such a shame the way these things are taking over our lives and all, just he's gesturing to my phone."
He's on a crusade.
Yeah.
In the Lakeside Mall food court.
And I happen
He's making his stand.
And I happen to be there for him to talk
An easy
at.
target.
And I turned to him and I said, "Why are you talking to me?" And I said it with like my super bitchiest face. And he is shocked that I have actually responded. And he goes, "Oh, well, you're not a very nice person, are you?" And I said...
You invited yourself to this conversation,
I said,
fucker.
I'm just sitting here eating my lunch. Why do I have to talk to strange men? And he got so pissed. He said, "Well, I just feel really sorry for you because you're just not a very nice person at all." And I said, "Guess not." And he finally walked away.
Fuck you, old man. How many Pokemon do you have today?
I was so pissed. That was the worst.
God, that you are the worst person for him to have said that to.
Well, that's also
I can't
probably
think of,
true.
That guy got off lucky that you tempered your rage.
I mean, but why the fuck would he come up to me and just talk at me? Like, I was so pissed. And then I called Pat to tell him about it, and I had to be like, I opened the call with, "You are never going to believe this thing that just happened to me." And he was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I was like, yes,
Right.
I'm fine.
Where should we send the police now?
Right.
Was it no? Some dude just lectured me
I'm
about phone
fine.
etiquette.
It's just a hilarious
So did he
thing that happened.
get his food, eat it, and then creep back over to you, or did he have his food with him as he was coming back by?
He ordered something. I can't remember if on the second pass he was carrying a tray of food or not. I don't think he was, though.
So he was old.
Yeah.
Because a lot of old dudes do hang out. Old people hang out in those mall fucking food courts.
Well, after he
It's
left
like a new
me, he went
public
and
center.
he went and sat with his peoples. He was there with people.
Other old folks?
It looked like it was. I was so inflamed. I had steam coming out of my ears.
Flames on the side of my face.
I couldn't.
Heaving breaths. I'm sorry.
This is another reason I would be a terrible spy, because I did not gather all of the needed details that I needed.
Yeah, when something like that happens to me in public, I always have at least 10 better reactions afterwards. I'm like, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have... So I find I keep like a good go fuck yourself in my pocket. Like when I don't have anything else to say, I'm like, why don't you go fuck yourself?
I usually try and draw attention to the absurdity of the fact that they want me to engage in a conversation with them when I am here by myself doing my own thing.
Yeah, that's what is weird about it. Like, it's just like that you are like required to react to this.
Yeah,
and then
I'm a lady in public, so I belong to other people, I guess.
Does he do this to other people? You think, like, just go around enforcing this norm about using a phone in public?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and that's the thing that gets me is that he thought he was being nice. In his mind, he's just starting a conversation. He's just asking questions.
Right.
You know, but he's really lecturing me about my choices in my life.
So what are you supposed to be doing while you're eating Cane's
I'm supposed
in
to
the
be
mall food court?
I'm supposed to be smiling at him, apparently.
Well, that's
and just like passively listening to him lecture me about shit.
Yeah, the weird
Even
thing
before
is,
he's there, you're supposed to be doing this.
I'm just an object.
The weird thing is he says something to you at first, and you give him your like most severe bitchy face, and then he comes back.
Yeah, came back for round 2.
Like, that's the thing that
if
is really
you would have thrown a go fuck yourself at him, that motherfucker wouldn't have been back. He'd have been like, "You're a very rude person." Like, "You're a very rude person."
I don't know.
But
about
I don't
that.
know if he is carrying a gun. I mean, like, shit.
Wait, I thought he was a crusty old man.
He was a crusty old man.
Probably not.
I still
It
don't
doesn't matter.
I mean,
just go ahead and get shot.
If
over
the
it.
first attempt was like,
Fuck it, that's worth it.
If the first attempt was like, I'm gonna make, pleasant conversation with a stranger for some reason, like maybe you were supposed to explain what you were doing on your phone, or say, but sir, this is what we do nowadays, us kids, or something like that.
No, go fuck yourself is
I'm
good.
a grown-ass woman.
But-
like, he doesn't get to talk to me that way.
Right, so that didn't work out, but why did he feel like he had to come back to you? Was he apologizing for having been weird the first time, or no?
No, he was even more obnoxious the second time around.
That's weird.
Because the first time around, he was...
It ain't weird. I totally think that a fucking dude would do that. It doesn't strike me as remotely surprising. But that dude needs to be told to go fuck himself, and you just got to deal with the consequences.
It was unsettling. It was not great. The other thing that I did was I went out to the bayou for 4th of July.
Oh, that sounds nicer.
That was nice, although it was my mistake was going outside, as is usually my mistake in July. So
Because it has sucked.
because it was hot.
Well, I'm sorry the thing happened to you in Lakeside Mall, but that dude needs to be told to go fuck himself. You gotta just tell him to go fuck himself.
For all of you who are about to age into being crusty old men, don't do that.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Yeah, you should.
I don't like anybody telling me that I shouldn't be on my phone because usually if that's even implied, I'm like, well, what the fuck you got to say that's so goddamn is more interesting than what I'm reading here on the internet?
Shouldn't we even be past that at this point? Like everyone,
well, not the crusty old man.
But everybody uses their phone, right? Or everybody uses the internet. Like it's not like some special thing that some people do that other people don't understand. Like it's just like everybody
in public, especially in a fucking food court in Lakeside Mall. I expect you to be on your phone. Yeah. Sometimes it does bother me when I'm in somebody's house and I'm hanging with my close friends and we're all three on our phones. That sometimes feels a little weird to me. Yeah. Like we got something to talk about.
Yeah, it just seems like this is over. Like why is this conversation still happening? Now, Lance, your contribution to this segment is already recorded, right?
Yeah, and I also went to Wednesdays on the Point in Algiers. It was very beautiful. The sun set over the city while Amanda Shaw was playing. And
she's obligated to play at all of this.
Yeah, she's an Algiers girl.
There's just, and not only that, but
she does outdoor festival.
Any festival anywhere, you have to have Amanda Shaw.
I saw Drunk Roz
Otherwise, you're not
there.
certified.
It was a good night.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Rosalind goes to those. So
yeah, she loves it.
You probably saw her. That's good.
It's part of Drunk Roz Fest. We'll have to include it in there.
Pretty much perpetual Drunk Roz Fest.
Yes, indeed.
And then we also have an entire prepared segment that you recorded for last week where you went to the Chris Isaac concert.
Well, don't spoil it for them. No, but have them watch it.
Telling the people about it because
it's good. Some shit goes down.
We're going to put it in right about here, and then you can enjoy it.
They did a bad, bad thing. 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 You ever love someone so much you thought your little heart was gonna break in two? I didn't think so. You ever try with all your heart and soul to get your lover back to you?
Yeah, so okay, I did a couple things for So-So these last few weeks. One of which was I went to the Chris Isaac concert at House of Blues. Now, the tickets were $65, which I thought were a little high for 60-year-old Chris Isaac. But I was going with friends, one of whom I have had a crush on for a few years. So I figured I would go ahead and kind of put in some work on that, hang out, talk, have a good time. Maybe in the future, go out to dinner or something. So just figured I'd go ahead and put in some time. So it ends up being $75 altogether. Whatever. I'm with friends. We go into House of Blues. We're sitting there, and this whole time I'm trying to get a buzz on so I can be sort of more, sociable. So I can be socially lubed, if you will. I'm drinking a beer here, and so the narrative throughout the night is I'm trying to get a buzz on so I can be more charming. The show starts. There's no opening act. Chris walks out. He's in a powder blue sequined suit. And I'm like, oh, this guy he came to rock and roll. And I appreciate that because if you're gonna rock, it helps to look the part, and he did. That's a motto of mine. You know, if you're gonna be whatever, dress the part, play the role. So, and he did. Powder blue sequin suit. He comes on. He starts jamming and everything. Things are going good. The girl who I got the crush on, and my buddy Josh Murphy from Magnolia Builders, who no longer sponsors the podcast, but could at any point, no longer listens to the podcast, really, because if he did, he would mention that, you know, how often we call him out for not sponsoring it anymore. But anyways, she and him sort of get into a bit of a dialogue about who is the bigger Chris Isaak fan. So they start singing the songs to each other and such, and challenging each other to know which song it was, which album it came from, and so on and so forth. And they're both doing pretty good. She mentions that she had a text relationship with him at some point, maybe in Los Angeles back in the early 2000s or something like that. It's all very unclear, but she claims to have known him. So everything's going sort of tete-a-tete. I decide to start doing like some Jameson, start sipping on Jameson with my beers and such, in order to, you know, become more, you know, to be wittier and funnier and to say smarter things, which often happens when I'm spirited. So Chris decides to walk into the audience as part of his show. He's putting on a good show. I'm appreciating that I spent $65 to see the show. He walks into the audience with a remote controlled microphone. He's walking up on people. He's talking to them. He's singing to them. He goes all the way around the back bar at House of Blues, and he comes around to where we are, and he sees the girl that I got the crush on and begins singing directly to her, and they walk a little bit together through the crowd, and apparently he remembers her from the text relationship they had based on her tattoos and such, and they sort of had an interaction. And I say to Josh, I'm like, it's not looking good for you on this contest as to who's the bigger fan. He knows her. So that has got to affect it in some way. And he acknowledges that and such. So then Chris gets back on stage and begins singing Pretty Woman, which his voice and Roy Orbison's voice have often been compared. You know, justifiably so. It is obvious to me and anyone else in the room that he is now singing this song directly to this girl whom he just interacted with. He's pointing at her and he's singing it in her general direction, right at her. And I'm like, Josh, it's over. You have lost. She is a bigger fan because he notices her and he is singing to her. No way you can prove it otherwise. So Chris begins to sing Did It a Bad Thing, Did It a Bad Thing, that one from the Eyes Wide Shut soundtrack, or at least from the ads. Terrible movie, very good song though. I looked to where she was, and there's just an empty space there. And then I go, oh, where'd she go? And then I look up on stage, and she's up there, singing They Did a Bad Thing, which I don't think is actually the name of the song, but that's the chorus. She's up on stage now. And I'm like, oh, well, it's definitely over now. She's just rubbing it in. And then she grabs his microphone and says directly at Josh Murphy from Magnolia Builders, no longer a sponsor of the Hunker Downcast, says directly to him, Josh, I won. And it's like, we already knew this, but go ahead and just destroy it. So then Chris Isaac says, Josh, who's Josh? Josh, get up here. The bass player needs company. So then I see Josh Murphy go up on stage. And he runs across the stage. And now both these people I'm with are on stage with Chris Isaac singing and such. And the girl who I have a crush on admittedly has said earlier in the night that she has a terrible voice, but it didn't stop her from singing every song. And now she's up there singing them into the microphone. So Chris, I guess, gets tired of that and he pushes her away. And then Josh Murphy sees that happen and takes that as his cue to leave. And then they both sort of mosey on off the stage, but not before Josh says something to Chris, like, thanks for having me up here and everything. By this time I am completely just wasted because I couldn't get a buzz. Then bam, was completely wasted. So there was no middle ground for me. We got burritos and frozen margaritas. That was a terrible idea. I scarfed the burrito down and woke up the next morning pretty hungover. Also, other than that, I just had I watched the fireworks in the French Quarter at the Dirty Boys, who were open for Essence. Hashtag open for Essence. That was us. We don't give a fuck. And guess what? Some Essence Fest visitors came in and bought fucking some art and hung out, and we all had a good time, and it was awesome. The day of the 4th of July, we watched fireworks there, and I made some slow-cooked red beans that I cooked all night. They had a whole ribeye steak in them. They had 2 pork chops and 2 chicken thighs. And I threw some apple cider vinegar. I don't want to get into recipe minute territory, but I threw some apple cider vinegar in there too. We had a good time. We draped ourselves in American flags. It was awesome. Happy birthday, America. Still the greatest country on the earth, I guess. I don't know. We poop in potable water. That's pretty good. One of the best. In the running for being one of the best. I've not lived in them all. Okay, so that's what I did. I'm sorry to not be there this week, but I'm stacked. Much love to Alli and Jeff. I'm sure they're putting on a good show. I'm sitting there at the Chris Isaac concert. I'm watching the show. A young girl, probably around, has to have just turned 21, comes up to me while I'm watching the show and says, "Oh my God, why aren't you periscoping this? What? Why aren't you taking pictures of it? You're just standing there."
So this is the opposite of the old man coming up to Alli.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Like, why are you on your phone? Why aren't you on your phone?
I'm in the middle.
Wow.
It's what baby boomers do to Gen Xers, and what millennials do to Gen Xers. We're stuck in the middle.
You and I are.
We're the last generation that can choose whether they want to be on their phone or not be on their phone.
We're just the most beleaguered generation as well, because we get it both ways.
The beleaguered generation.
I feel so sorry for you.
We're too slackery for the boomers, and we're too old for the millennials.
Yeah, we're not on our phone enough for the millennials, and on our phone too much for the baby boomers.
Yeah.
What a hard life you must have.
No, it really does suck to be an Xer, man.
It is. I'm going to start a Facebook group. Gen X privilege.
Invented by a millennial.
I got Gen X privilege.
Anyway, okay, well, that's great. So mine was, we really haven't done anything this last couple of weeks. Minkles and I have been kind of like, we hunkered down a lot.
Hey!
We did
That's the name of this show.
We did have
he did one of those things where he says the name of the movie in the movie.
He's like Ron Howard
It
narrating
happens every
Arrested
third episode.
Development.
We have to do that.
It almost happened in Game of Thrones in the last episode.
You know what we did? We went to Crepe Nanu recently.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, everybody loves that place. And
I hated it for many years.
Really?
And
Tell us about
it. I actually still hate it, but I'm certainly more willing to go there because I've discovered crepes in that time. But I went there and I was like, what the fuck is there to eat here? This sucks, blah, blah, blah. And since then I've kind of been like, hey, crepes are all right. So I'm willing to give it another shot.
I mean, it's like
expensive.
It's not that expensive, and it's not like
For the shit... never mind.
Like, it's what you expect every time you go there. Like, and it's an easy kind of, date place to go.
Yeah, it is a nice romantic place.
Yeah. It's kind of like in the Death Star trench of Uptown, though. Like, you don't... That little block there with that and what's the little sushi place there?
Kyoto.
Yeah, that is like...
An upper line across the way.
Like, if you wanted to strike a killing blow to Uptown, if you could wipe out that block, I think that you would see like a domino effect.
I used to live 2 blocks from there, man.
Yeah, it's so Uptown.
Well,
it is up.
So
it was
the reason we were there was because we had a friend visiting from out of town, and we wanted to go somewhere that wasn't like overly touristy and wasn't like overly like fancy or like the hip place to be. We just let's just go to a regular restaurant, and so that's where we brought him. And he asked us, what part of town is this known as? What neighborhood is this? And we're like, I don't know, it's just fucking Uptown.
This is Uptown.
It's up.
But apparently it's the it's the part of Uptown that will unravel the entire fabric.
If you drop a fucking bunker buster onto that block, you'll start to see the entire Uptown infrastructure begin to collapse, especially if it's on like a Friday night.
So
mini Uptown. Remember when we were trying to get to we were trying to do those decapitation strikes on Saddam Hussein?
Yeah.
And we were dropping those bunker busters on them? If you wanted to do that to New Orleans,
I like where this is going.
You would hit Crepe Nanu and Kyoto and that little
so
Creole creameries there and shit.
Yeah.
And like a little fucking, what is it, like a cheese and bread shop or some shit. Fuck that, man. Drop a bunker buster
Creole
on
creamery
that shit.
And the
some
the
other
Thai
and a
place.
Walgreens because they all got fucking high blood pressure from fucking over people for
That
so
whole
many
thing.
years. They got to go to Walgreens and get their fucking blood pressure medication and their Viagra and all kinds of shit.
So listen up, ISIS. If you
guys are assholes.
if you're coming to Uptown, if you're coming to Uptown,
you're a mid city girl and you're sticking up for Uptown.
That's my old neighborhood. I miss it.
Oh, so we know where her true allegiances lie.
One time when I was on super crazy pain meds after I had cut my...
That's Uptown. That's
After I-
fucking pure Uptown right there.
I wandered into that CVS right there, or Rite Aid or whatever, and I almost passed out in there. That was a rough day, man.
That's on pain meds.
Well, that sounds like
wandered into CVS.
That's an
passed
endorsement.
out on the floor. That is as Uptown as you can figure.
Call off the
just
strike.
had-
Call off the strike, y'all.
I just had stitches. Man,
Oh,
you guys
man.
are...
Good job.
Isn't Britannia Theater there too? Like
No, it's a
another
little bit
block
up.
down?
It's
little
about a
bit.
block or so up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe a precise bunker buster could damage that building enough to make it a complete tear down.
The whole thing
also.
just comes apart.
Yeah,
that's good. It's good. I don't know, man, because like there's another center of gravity like between Louisiana and Jackson along Magazine Street that is just full of.
Oh, I was going to say between...
Is that where the library is?
No, it's where
between Jefferson
the Bulldog
and Joseph Street.
and the Bromard and the Arana and now the Smash Burger and the Balcony Bar, all that stuff. Like that's where they all concentrate there. So
Also, there, if we're going to be doing tactical strikes, I think there's like right around where
I don't like
that
this.
remote part of New Orleans where that restaurant is.
Wait, what?
Where Pita Pit is and shit.
And
where the Whole Foods
Jefferson
is.
and like the Whole Foods area,
St.
So,
Joe's and all that.
between Jefferson
put
and
one there.
Nashville.
And Nashville along Magazine.
Yeah, put one there.
So
you might could take out.
So these are the fracture points.
Is in Patois and Clancy's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Put one right there.
Yeah. So you'd have to do like at least 3 strikes there to get.
Yeah, but the first one has got to be Crepe Nanu.
And the other one would be, I guess, closer to Sophie Wright where Wands is and everything.
Yeah, you want to go down Magazine Street.
It's basically just take out Magazine.
You want to get like an A10.
Okay.
Oh my god,
you know,
guys.
Warthog.
Yeah.
And just strafe Magazine.
Right.
With about I think you need an airstrike of A10s down Magazine to take out Uptown, cripple the New Orleans infrastructure.
It's good. It's good. This is. I'm glad that we've formulated.
Alli is not taking part in any of this conversation.
No, I'm not.
She knows that when the arrest warrant, when the arrest warrants come,
this is good.
We love Uptowners. No, we're just fucking around.
No, I mean
y'all take a joke.
I live up there and I frequent these establishments.
You live in Central City, bro. Don't even try and perpetrate.
Right, that's fine. Anyway, so that's stepping on, stepping out for me, you, and you. We started with what the fuck are you doing on your phone, and we ended with how to destroy Uptown.
A decapitation strikes on Uptown.
Boy, it's been really one hell of an episode, you guys.
So we can move in next to. Do we have a recipe minute that we would like to jump into, or do we want to?
Alli has one.
Sure.
We're not really going to do that. I mean, it's just a joke. We're just letting them know.
Recipe minute is just a joke?
Oh, no. Blowing up Uptown.
Oh. Okay.
We're not going to do that.
Okay.
We just letting everybody know that if we had the fucking power to, that's how easy it would be.
If you had to, or if you were trying to.
Right.
If you had a reason to.
If they had turned enough. If they were perceived as a threat.
Yeah. I mean, if they were outside agitators taking over parts
and
of Uptown.
That is one thing that does not happen Uptown. There are no outside anything.
If you wanted to point the LRAD cannon somewhere, like it would be
Uptown.
You'd have to hit it like right around where Crepe Nanu is, right?
That would be the first one. That would be the shock and awe stage. Is where we blew up fucking Crepe Nanu. Shock and awe.
The whole grilled fish there is really good, though. It's good.
And the mussels.
The mussels are great too. They have like a fennel-based cream sauce that they come in. It's really good. It's a shame that we have to blow it up, but it's really.
Wait, we don't have to. It's all hypothetical, man. We're not saying we got to blow it up. Our friends live there. Probably Hunker Downcast listeners live there.
Probably. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, stop saying we have to do it. We don't have to do it.
All right.
Recipe minute.
Okay. Do we have the?
No.
Okay. So.
Ding.
So something I've been making, I've made twice lately, is a cold noodle salad for summer.
Oh, like they do at Mikimoto?
Sort of.
Okay.
It is soba noodles, so you boil those and then rinse them off under cold water. Even though we don't get cold water out of the tap this time of year, you can supplement it with ice if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I make a sauce that's mostly tahini, and you add some
the homemade tahini that you told us about earlier in the show, right?
Let her talk, Jeff.
What?
You told us about making homemade tahini earlier.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did on a previous episode of the show.
I don't make homemade tahini. I buy that shit.
It's a recipe minute, y'all.
All right, continue.
So mix up some tahini with...
I'm watching Alli's second hand on her watch.
Thanks. So I mix tahini with white miso, rice vinegar, toasted sesame oil, soy sauce.
Tzatziki.
Yeah.
Quit fucking interrupting her.
Jackass.
Let her get through it.
Where were we? Okay, tahini.
Some ground. No, that's not where we were. Some ground up ginger and some red chili flake and probably a couple other things I forgot. Anyway,
Jesus.
chopped up cilantro.
How are they gonna make it?
You whisk it all together, add some water and thin it out, and you toss that with the cold soba noodles, and chop up a cucumber, and toss that with some. You can julienne the cucumber if you want, and then toss it all with some black sesame seeds, and then pop it in the fridge because it probably won't be cold enough to taste, and that's a nice cold noodle salad for summer.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's the Recipe Minute?
That's the Recipe Minute.
Ding!
Very nice. You know,
and tahini and tzatziki are not the same thing.
No, they're completely different things.
I like how y'all honored the sanctity of the Recipe Minute before starting to argue about this. I'm going to get that motherfucker after this Recipe Minute. It's done.
At Mikimoto, they let you know that you've ordered probably too much food by bringing you those free noodles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
I like noodle salads in the summer because they're cold and not...
Mickey Moto steady has a guard outside. It's one of those restaurants with a guard.
Yeah.
It's funny which ones have them and which ones
in case
don't.
anybody decides that it's a pressure point for the terrorist attack.
Oh, right.
Oh, God, guys. All right.
Are you worried about that whole
wire?
segment?
We got a jive wire?
Yeah, I guess we're just going into the jive wire. You want to hear the jive wire this week?
You're fucking right.
All right, here we go. So, everybody get ready. This is the Hunker Downcast Jive Wire, your fake music calendar for no night in particular. The Jive Wire is sponsored by...
We Met in the Air?
We Met in the Air, I guess, still.
Yeah.
We Met in the Air, Ira Ray's...
Ira Ray.
Communications and so forth and whatever. For more information, visit We Met in the Air, probably.
Just Google it.
Just Google it, whatever. Ira, thank you for your support of the show. Here's the Jive Wire. The Steamboat Queenie hosts Cali Calliope at sunset. Muttering Bills features Gutter Cut Campon at 6. The Central City Golf Club hosts the Uptown Cougars at 6. The Apple Bottom Bar hosts Gaseous Clay at 6. The Urinal Bar has Beer in the Book Drop at 6. The Lease Bank Bar presents the St. Anne Shards at 6. The Back Room at the Leather Bar features So Long Solange at 7. The 70s Ski Chalet has the Lusher Lushes at 7. Iconic Structure features Snitch Landrew at 7.
A.K.A. Kevin Landrew. Kenneth.
But Cheeky Wawa hosts Sarah with an H at 7. The bar formerly known as the Smoky Bar features Stab Ray Davies at 7. The Audubon Boulevard Bar features the One Percenters at 7. Mondays in Mandeville features Cultural Gumbo at 7. Irvin Mayfield's Jazz Library features Gallier Holiday at 8. Liberia features Spoken Word with Remy Ayadel at 8. Large Lounge has Hazy Popeyes at 8. Follies at the Market has Big Titty Bartenders at 8. The Lost Alley Lounge has No End in Sight. A special all-night gig starts at 8. Booted Booties hosts Artisanal Vapes at 10. And new on the Jive Wire this week.
Very few 9 o'clock shows.
New on the Jive Wire this week. Superfluous Umlaut at the Foodie Bar at 12. The Trombone Shorty Term Rentals are at the Sharing Economy Hall at 10. And LRAD hosts Kip and the Holding Steady at midnight.
Wait, there was the Moist Lone Gunman at a secret show. I guess at the, Beeps.
The Moist Lone Gunman.
The Beeps Cummer Lounge at 10.
Oh, shit.
The Moist Lone Gunman. TK Wharton recommended that one.
We may not have gotten all of the Jive Wire entries this week.
So, just walk around, guys. It's New Orleans. It's it's a synergy. There's synergy happening out there. You come across a band just playing at a street corner, anywhere. You know,
The Hunker Downcast
Maybe
Jive
at
Wire
second
is brought to
and,
you at the oddest hours. For an extended listening, check out
Maybe at-
hunkerdowncast.com/jivewire, which you can't check out because it doesn't exist yet. To get
South Roman Street, there might be a band. South Roman and Canal.
to get your gig into the Jive Wire, tweet to @hunkerdowncast or email hunkerdowncast@gmail.com. Now get out there, support,
And enjoy.
some live
Local
music. Nice job. And I think, God, I hope that this is the end.
Oh, it was our best episode yet. I love
You
it.
think so?
Falling asleep.
18. I was going to do that Alice Cooper song.
I made Varg an English muffin, so he's no longer dying of hunger. So.
No, I got some carbs in me. I'm fired up.
Oh, we could do a whole nother one of these if you want to.
You want
Because
to?
I'm about to pass out.
Okay, so Alli's...
Good night, everybody.
All right, y'all. We'll catch up with you.
We don't want to blow up Uptown. It was all hypothetical and funny.
As far
It's
as-
not so funny if you do live in a place that somebody could just go and blow up, though. Think about that, Uptowners.
Yeah, think about that every day.
Put yourself in a
Just
position like if you were born as a human and an Iraqi child was born as a human, and an Iraqi child has to live with that every fucking day, and y'all don't. So thank you. Poop in your potable water and be happy and quit bitching.
There you go. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.